In one of the last tutorials, we showed how to set up assemblies. In this tutorial, we're going to show how to use assemblies with the character to perform assembly tasks. So first, I'm going to drop my MCAI character into the world that we're going to use to assemble. So I'm going to go under Motion Flow Content, Motion Composer, Characters, Mannequin, Blueprint, MCAI character, which I'm going to drop here. Next, we're going to create 3 tasks here. One of them, we are going to create a task that we're going to perform the assembly on, which is the gearbox assembly. So I'm going to create a pickup task here. So remember, pickup task can also be used as a spawn task. So that's what we're going to do. So if you click on Add Component here under the Details panel, after selecting the table here, which is where we're going to perform the assembly task. So we're going to type in task. That gives us this option of MC task. And we are going to call this spawn gearbox assembly. In the task performance, we're going to do perform pickup, and then item type is going to be gearbox assembly. Or let's make sure that we pick up the gearbox assembly we created in one of the last tutorials. So under the content demo folder, which is where I created them, let's find our gearbox assembly blueprint, which is this. So we're going to drag and drop that here under item type. So that's another way that you can set this up instead of dropping down here and choosing from here. So I'm going to place that correctly. So I'm going to select this, move this up, and rotate it. So this is how I want it to be oriented. And then we're also going to rotate the arrow here because we want the character to approach from about here and here. So this is going to spawn the gearbox assembly. Let's look at our gearbox assembly. What are the default assembly parameters there? So that is important because we want it to be assembled to a certain degree when it is spawned. Because right now, if I'm going to hit play, you're going to see that it is fully assembled. And that is most likely because that's how we have set it up. So here, under the gearbox cover, under the components for the gearbox cover, we say it is already assembled. We say the gears are already assembled. We say the gears cover is already assembled. So now if we disable everything and if we hit play, then nothing will be visible here. But for this example, what we're going to do, I'm going to move that out. What we're going to do is going to already have the gearbox cover present. So we'll have that assembled. But the gears and gears cover are what we're going to assemble. So if you hit play now, then you'll see that the gearbox cover is there, but the gear and gears cover are not here. In order to do that, now we're going to create 2 pickup tasks for picking up the gears and gears cover here. So I'm going to again select this table and do Add Component Task. I'm going to do pickup gears. Going to choose under task performance, perform pickup, under item type. Again, let's make sure we pick up the gears here. So I'm just going to drag that here. And then I'm going to place it over here. Let's rotate it so that it's lying on the table. Move it up. And then move the arrow by double clicking on it. Press escape, exit out of the arrow editing mode. Select the table again, choose Add Component from Details, type in Task. We'll add another task here. This one will be Pickup Gears Cover. Under Task Performance, we'll choose Perform Pickup. Under Item Type, we'll choose Gears Cover. So I'm going to select this Gears Cover from here and drag that over the item type. Again, we are going to move it so that it's oriented and placed the way we want it to be, which is on the table, facing upwards, and close enough for the character to pick up. And then we're going to orient and position the arrow as well to our liking. So now these are all the task setups. So now we're going to select, or now we're going to rather create a scenario blueprint, which is going to perform these actions. So let's right click here and do under Motion Composer, Scenario Blueprint, BP Assembly Demo. Going to open that under here, Scenario Graph. We're going to right click, motion composer, perform task. So the first task we want the character to perform is the pickup gears task. So under worker first, we select this perform task. Under worker, we select our character. Now in this level, I happen to have two characters, which is over there and here. Let's call this character worker 01 so that we can have one available here. So under worker, choose worker 01, workstation. Now let's name that workstation appropriately as well. This is called crane gearbox. This is from one of the previous tutorials, and this is called W1 WS03. So those are the ones we're going to use actually instead of renaming them. So crane gearbox, actually no, we want workstation for worker 1. Let's confirm that that's correct. Yes, that is the workstation we want. And under task, we're going to choose pickup gears. And then the next, I'm going to duplicate that by hitting Control W. And under workstation, we're going to choose the crane gearbox workstation, and we're going to do a put down. Now the put down task is missing here, so we need to create that. So we created a task here to spawn this gearbox. Now we need 2 more tasks for installing these gears and then gears cover. So let's do that. Actually, we missed doing that before. So I'm going to click on add component, type in task, and call this task put down gears. I'm going to duplicate that and going to create another task put down gears cover. For the put down gears under task performance, going to choose perform put down. Item type will be gears, going to drop that into the item type. And then now we're going to provide the assembly container, and that's important because we are going to assemble this into this assembly. So the assembly is the gearbox assembly. So again, if you choose the gearbox assembly here, drop that into the assembly drop down here, that will give us a choice of all the demo gears assembly that are here. So it looks like there isn't any. So let's confirm that we have set things up correctly. So the gearbox assembly gears is of type BPII gears. Oh, so there are 2 copies of it. Now over the course of tutorials, we have multiple copies of gears. So we are choosing the wrong gears here. So we're going to choose the BPII gears here. And let's make sure that over here too, for the pickup gears, that's the one we're using. And let me see if we use this elsewhere. So demo inventory is still using that. So which is also assembly that we created. I'm going to delete this. And then I'm also going to delete the demo gears. So that will take a little bit because it is resolving references. Okay, so now we should only have 1 gears, and that might also be true for the gears cover, but we'll deal with that when we get to it. So put down gears. Now we should have the gears, which we picked here, which is automatically picked for us. The next task we're going to do, put down gears cover, and we say perform put down. Item type, again, let's drag and drop this item type here. And under assembly container, we'll choose, item type is actually the gears cover. So now we suspect the gears cover might also be wrong, but let's test our demo gears cover. The assembly will be the gearbox assembly here. And then if it's incorrect, there will be nothing here, and that is true. So it's not demo gears cover, it is BPII gears cover, which is this one. So let's use that. And then it will automatically be selected. Then again, we'll go back here for our gears cover. We're going to change this to BPII gears cover. So we have like duplicate copies of these. So BPII demo gears cover, I am also going to delete. So now we should be good. So you need to be careful with your naming of objects, of assets, and structuring them, and otherwise you run into these kind of problems where you have similar things, and then you're trying, but they're different, and you're trying to use them in a mixing and matching fashion, and it doesn't quite work. So So now these are all the tasks that are set up. The one thing that we need to do is make sure that the arrows for our put down tasks are appropriately placed. So let's see that. Like this is the arrow for put down gears cover. That's not where we want it. We want it to be somewhere around here. Also facing this way. And similarly, the other arrow, I'm going to move it up to and rotate it somewhere around here. That's fine. Okay, so the placement of this gears and gears cover doesn't matter because we're going to install it on the assembly over here. So the placement is going to be like the final object is going to be determined how it is specified within the assembly. And the arrows matter because that's where the character is going to approach it from. So so now that we have set that up, now we are going to go back to our scenario blueprint and we are going to perform put down. So now that option should be available here. Now I had to compile again this blueprint because we made some changes to this workstation. Those were not being reflected, but once I hit compile, then it should now show up. So I'm going to do put down gears, pick up gears, put down gears. That's what I'm going to do. Now put down gears needs to be performed in an assembly. So if I were to go, first we need to set up the level of our blueprint, which is under the initial values of your class. So this we're calling the demo map. And if I had hit play, it would give me an error that put down gears needs an assembly, and that has not been provided. So we need to provide that assembly. And this is where the spawn node will come handy. So if I do spawned item and select the crane gearbox workstation, this is where and then we have the spawn gearbox assembly task. This will give us a handle to that gearbox assembly, and we are going to connect that input here. And now again, the execution also needs to be dependent, because if we pass the data, execution should also flow in that way, because unless this has executed, this data is not available. So we want to establish that dependency. So if we were to just test this first, so the character, so there are some other issues which are there in the blueprint. So I'm going to just quickly go and delete some of the other stuff which is not relevant to our example here, and which are causing errors, because that was something we were playing with another example. And also I'm going to, so sometimes what happens is that some of your assets still have redirects. So what helps after deleting deleting assets to clean up those redirectors is to right click and do fix up redirectors in the folder. So that's unrelated to this tutorial, but is a useful information to have. So let's say if we still get some errors. So now we don't, that's good. The character is not doing anything because our assembly demo scenario blueprint we haven't placed into the world. So now if we were to hit play, then the character will perform his action. He picks up gears and then does put down gear over there. So the gear he was picking up in an interesting manner, so we can go and fix that. So if I right click on BPI gears, edit tool placement for right hand. So this is how he was picking it up. So we can actually go and change that. So let's say we want him to hold it like so, or let's say, further away like so. Let's say there was a handle there. And then you have to click the Save Toolpart button here. And also you need to save the blueprint asset here. So that changes the placement. We have talked about that in some other tutorials, but here it is again, applicable. So this is how you sort of change the placement of how you hold the object. So next we're going to make him pick up the gears cover and then also perform an assembly over the gearbox assembly. So let's go back to our scenario blueprint. We are going to then perform a pickup gears cover this time. So we go and choose pickup gears cover from here. And then I'm going to duplicate this. We're going to do put down gears cover. So it's useful to duplicate this because this already has a correct workstation setup. All I need to do is from the drop down under task, choose the correct task, which I've already set up in the world. That's why it shows up here. So put down gears cover. This also needs an instance to the assembly. This is the same assembly as this guy because that's the gearbox assembly that we're working with. So I'm going to provide that over here as well. And then let's see how that looks. So the placement of the gears cover in the hand might also be wrong, so we will go and fix that. So he goes and you see that it installs the gears in the correct location. So yeah, the placement here is also kind of funny, so we're going to fix that. But let's look at the installation. So maybe we want to actually install the gears cover first and gears so that we can see the sequence. So and that's easy. In this case, we just delete by clicking Alt and clicking on this wire, and Alt and clicking on these wires, and clicking Alt and this wire. So now we're going to move put down gears here, pick up gears here, pick up gears cover here, put down gears cover here. So this is how you can very quickly rearrange the order in which your tasks are performed. And that's also the power of a system like this. So also we want the spawn gearbox to be a dependence on put down gears cover. So I've done that. So you can hit compile, save. This other thing we wanted to do is to change the way the gears cover are being held. So right click on that in the content browser, click edit tool placement for right hand. We are picking it up with right hand. If you were picking it up with left hand, we can do that too. That support for left and right hand is coming in a future version. So I'm going to put that here again. Remember to hit save tool and part here, close this window, go back to your content browser and save the asset over here. So now, if I were to hit play, he should go and pick up the gears cover, and he's holding it correctly now. He will install the gears cover here. Then he'll pick up the gear, and then he'll go and install the gear on top of it. And then you can see that they get assembled correctly on the assembly. So this is basically how you would use assemblies with characters to perform assembly tasks. And you can do similar with cranes. So whenever you put down something from a crane, you can specify which assembly to put down on, and that performs the assemble operation automatically. So you can build up assemblies using cranes as well, like instead of characters. So both of them can be used. And the cranes sort of putting down, we have shown in a different tutorial where we were using a conveyor and we were putting down a gearbox assembly onto an engine assembly. So the gearbox assembly was being installed on the engine assembly as an assembly. So basically that's how you use assemblies with Motion Composer. Hope that helps. Thank you.